Good evening. This evening I'm going to attempt to show you INF2611 2021 assignment 4. I'm going to go ahead and try and create the whole assignment 4, doing the complete thing. Over here I'm showing you a table of some of the connections that we're going to use. So because we're using Python 3.9.4 or 5 or even 6, I'm using PyQt5, and so we're using the MySQL connector. So I'm using a MySQL database, and this is the connector that you can use to connect Python and PyQt to MySQL database. Okay. And so my connection string normally consists of something called db equals, and then mc being the MySQL connector, mc.connect, and then you have to specify a host with the host name. And because I'm working on my local machine, the host is classified as localhost. The user, also in inverted commas there, double inverted commas, would be the username for the database, okay? And the password is also the password for the database, and then the database itself, whichever database you're going to connect to, okay? So I've put it on the right hand side here. I've said MC connect specifies the start of the connection string. Inside of the brackets, we specify the host name, the database username, the database password, the database we are trying to connect to. Okay. Then the other commands that I use are try and accept. And the reason I use try and accept is because when you're connecting to the database, if one of your connection strings are incorrect, the accept will execute as soon as it encounters an issue. And so it'll prompt the user that there's an error. And so that's why I always recommend using the try and accept route. Okay. So what will happen is we'll use the try. We'll put all our code in the try command. And if it's successful, it will reach the end. But if not, it'll jump to the accept and it'll show us an error message. Okay. And for the error message, I normally use a queue message box. And so I'll just show you how that works. Okay. Then we've got the cursor. Okay. So the cursor is used to you start a cursor so that you can create a SQL command, and then that cursor will execute the commands for us. And so there's quite a huge use of this cursor feature inside. Okay. And then at the end you close the cursor and you close the connection. I don't recall putting close in any of my Python commands, but I think I might have put it in the main script, but if not, just remember to use close. Okay. This one just shows you the components and the methods that are used. There were quite a few components that I used in various versions of the program. Okay. The main one that I used was the push button, because obviously one of the requirements was to have a back, forward, or previous, next, record, find record, whatever you want. And I also had a connect record. So push button has 4 methods that I used. Obviously the object name. We always use an object name. We give it a unique name so that each button is uniquely identified. No matter which subform you go onto, you have to give it a unique name. Then we've got the clicked event. The clicked event allows us to connect to signals and slots. So when someone clicks on a button, then we automatically connect that to a slot, and that slot code will run every time the person clicks on the button. Okay. Then we've got text, and obviously the text is what appears on the button. So for instance, the previous, next, connect button, that will display obviously on there. The enabled, this is to, if we decide, okay, we don't want a button enabled. So I think one of them was when you clicked on new, you had to click on save before you could click on something else. I can't exactly remember all the methods. It's been a while since I did it, but yeah, you'll see there is a use of it. Okay. Then the next thing we've got is obviously all our labels, and we use labels to identify the fields that we're going to use. So on mine, I mostly just took care of the manager's contact details and the client's contact details. So I used a lot of labels for names, surnames, contact number, email address, those sort of things. Okay. And as you know, we give those unique names as well. And then we also have an enabled method, so we can either enable or disable the label. Okay. And then we've obviously got the text, and the text is what shows the user what that label is for, or what that field is for. Okay. Then we've got lots of line edits. Okay. And our line edits were the main one that we use to communicate with the database. And that's also, it's got a method of object name, so we give that line edit a unique name. We also can choose to enable or disable line edits. I believe one of the requirements was to disable the primary key, so that the user can't add its own primary key. So that was one of them that was disabled. The set enabled is what we can use to make the disabled line edit enabled or disabled, and you have to use it in conjunction with the true or false. Okay, so you would say set enabled, and then you'd put true in the brackets, or you'd say false in the brackets. Okay, the set text, this method is used to specify the text that should go into the line edit. So there's quite a few times I use the set text. Set echo mode, I don't know if anyone used that, but basically that helps you to set whether the line edit should be a password or not. And so I use that in my code to make sure that the password was hidden from the user entering it in. Okay. And then the text method is used to read from a line thing. Okay, the text method is used to read from the line edit. Okay. In one of the instances, one of the snippets of code I've got, I used a spin box, and the spin box, as you know, has a unique name. It also has an enabled or disabled feature. So you obviously can only say enabled is true or enabled is false. Okay. The maximum value, I've mentioned it in a previous video. Its default is set to 99. So if you want a value higher than 99, you have to change this set maximum value to whatever value you want to use the spin box to. Okay. And then set value is what you can use to adjust the value that's set in the spin box. Okay, so you could say set value 250 or 300 or however much you want to in those brackets. Okay, then I've used the combo box. The combo box I use to read a table, and I wanted to be able to specify all the tables in my database. And as you know, with a combo box, you've also got an object name, and you have to give a combo box a unique name. Then enabled, you can either disable or enable this, also using through the enabled property. Okay, either true or false. Current text, that's used to read what the user's currently got selected in the combo box. Okay, and then the clear command or clear method is used to clear whatever's in the combo box, so that you can repopulate the combo box with whatever information you wanted. Okay. Then we've obviously got our actions. So those are called action data or queue actions, and the object name has a unique name, okay, and the default one is action data, okay. The text is what you basically want the user to see for the action data. Then you remember one of the questions in the tests was a menu bar. Could you have multiple menu bars? No, you can only have one menu bar, and the default name for this menu bar is called menu bar. It'll only allow you to have one menu bar, but it will allow you to have multiple status bars, but not a menu bar. A menu bar is unique, it's only allowed one, okay? Then you have your menu items, so those are queue menu, which are menu, and the name given to each menu item on your menu bar, okay? So that's basically whatever you want. So if you've got file, or if you've got open, or whatever, you put that as your object name there. Then you've got your MDI area, and so the default name for MDI area is called MDI area, and I've just left it like that as it was. And then you have your sub windows inside of your MDI area. So the object names are set to sub windows, and as you add more sub windows, they just increment with an underscore and a number. So it'll be underscore 2, underscore 3, underscore 4. Okay, and that's what happens when you add more sub windows, unless you change the object name to whatever you want. And then I use the show maximized window, and this is how I achieved the option to show, to present the application by showing the maximized if they were successfully logged in. Okay, so that's just a brief summary of the components and how I connect to the database. As per the usual, I normally like to just show you assignment 4, okay? And so assignment 4 here, as you can see, it says complete the assignment 4 template and submit a PDF version on MyUnisa. No later assignments will be considered for marking. Your programming task. Extend the MDI application in Python from assignment 3 to store its data to a database rather than a text file. The application must connect to a database. Start with a very simple number of appropriate tables in the database that may be extended later. Rather have a small system that works well than a large overextended system that does not do anything. The main window must provide a welcome screen. A welcome page with security login is required. A connect to a SQL. For the purpose of this module, you need to know how to add a record, find a record, delete an existing record, and show the contents of a table. Data. Each table must contain example data. The existence of the database must be verified, and the connection to the database must be confirmed. Main menu. The options: file, data maintenance, reporting, and about. Okay. Data maintenance GUI. The submenu options: add new record with verification that the record is not duplicated. Edit existing record with verification that the record exists. Delete existing record with verification that the record exists and confirmation of yes or no that the record will be deleted. And show all records. This data maintenance must be implemented for at least one of the database tables. The MCQ will be opened. Okay, I'm not going to worry about the MCQ part. I hope that just covers what the assignment requirements were. And the next step is now to start working through how do we design this. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm obviously going to open up my computer, and I'm going to go to, what I wanted to do was to show you how to install SQL. Okay, I know in one of my previous videos I've shown you how to install XAMPP as well as install the connectors. So I'm just going to go through and just check if I've got them still. No, I don't have the download here. Okay, But what you can do is you can go to Apache Friends, and that will take you to the XAMPP download. Okay, I'm finding my machine is running extremely slow for trying to get to a web browser. So this is the address, apachefriends.org. As you can see, there's 3 different versions of XAMPP that you can download. I've just chosen the XAMPP for Windows, the version 8.0.10, okay, and I've downloaded it and I've installed. If you have a look, what I've done is I've installed it on my C drive, and on my C drive there's a XAMPP folder, there it is, and what I've done is I've got a XAMPP control over here. So what I normally do is I right click on this and I say please send a copy to the desktop, so that I can always start XAMPP whenever I need to. So what I do is I double click on it like this, and as you can see it starts up. So I just click on start over here, I click on start over here, and then I click on admin. Okay, it'll take you to a screen similar to this. Okay, and what you can do is you can come to user account, and what I did was I clicked on add a user account, created a totally new one. Okay, as you can see it's got a username field here, so I just typed in INF2611. You can type in whatever username you want. For the password you can type in a very basic one. I'm just going to choose this generate option, which is quite nice because it makes it over here. So I'm just going to copy and I'll put this in a quick notepad so that I know what it is. Okay. Okay, so I'll paste that, and I'm going to also copy my username because shouldn't actually cut it, I should just copy it, because I want to be able to use it in my code. Okay, so what I do is I scroll down and I make sure I tick all of these, that it's got full access to my database and any databases in here. Then I just click on go. And once you can see you have added a new user, you see this green tick, everything is looking good. You can go back to user accounts and you can see there I've got my new user account. So now I'm going to go over to databases and I'm going to create my new database, and my database is going to be called INF2611DB. Okay, I'm going to click on create. And what will happen is, as you can see here on the left, it's already created it. There's no tables, there's no tables, there's no columns, there's nothing at the moment. Okay, so this is a very blank database. You're welcome to go ahead and populate it with whatever information you want. I'm going to try and get one of my previous databases and just create it, and I'll show you the whole process of how I create it, so you're not going to be missing out on anything. Okay, so my first table that I created was called login, and I only actually had 3 columns. Okay, I click on go over here. And as you can see there, it's got my table, and my first column I just create as ID. Okay, I'm just leaving it as ID. I also want it to become a primary, and as you can see my screen's a little bit small, so I'm going to shrink it a little bit further, because what happens is you've got this AI, which is auto increment. So I want this ticked, and you can see it automatically sets that to primary. That is correct. That is what I want. And then here I'm just going to put the username. Okay. And instead of int, I'm going to use a varchar. And I'm just trying to see what my structure was. How many? I don't think I really restricted it too much. Yeah. I just say leave this to 15 characters. Okay. Varchar of 15. Okay. And then this last one. Okay, that's missing some characters. Username. Yeah. And the last one is the password. And yeah, I want that one as a variable character, and I also wanted about 25. The user can choose up to 25. I'm just going to make it back to normal. Don't know what normal is, but okay. Let's see if it shows me here. Yeah, I want it to 100%. Okay. So I've got username, password, and ID. For varchar, you have to specify the size. I just click on save, and what will happen is you'll see a table appear underneath here called login, and there's my login. Okay, so now it wants me, if I click on login, you can see I can go to SQL, and what's nice is I can say I want to insert a record. What record do I want? I'm going to just put a record of 1 over here, and then I'm going to, why is it not updating? I'm typing 1 on my keyboard, but it isn't doing anything. Might actually just take that value out there and that value. Okay. And then for the username, I'm going to really use something very simple. Yeah, just put John in here, man. It's really not working at all. My keyboard. John. Okay. Now it's picking up. It's taking a while, but there we go. Just going to paste that in. There we go. And I'm going to just set this thing to something very basic called password. Again, it's not showing up. So I just want to copy and paste it here. Really acting weird. Okay, so I click on go, and voila, I now have a new record. So if I click on login, you'll see there's my new record. Okay. Another column that I created, or another table, they said you needed to create 3, so I created another table over here, and I called it manager. Yeah. Name, how many did I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5. Okay, so I've got manager, create 5. Let's go. The same thing. I always just put ID for the first thing. As mentioned, I want to have it to auto increment, so I just tick that option over there, and then I come back out. Let me go here. Yeah, I'm on 100%, so I'm okay. Then the next column I had was first name. okay, and that I set to varchar. Believe I set it to about 25. Hopefully no one's name is longer than that. Then I put M last name and also put varchar 25, and then I had a contact and contact. This I think I did leave as integer because it's just numbers. Let me just double check. Look at structure. Oh no, actually I changed it to varchar. So I left it as varchar. I told it to stick to 10, and then over here I put email for manager's email, also varchar, and I think I set that one up to 100, and I clicked on save. So now I've got really one real database, or one real table. The next one I created was event info. Click on new. Where's the over here? New. Okay, and that gives me 4. So I actually only want 3. Believe you can delete one. Let me just minimize it. I think that delete appears on the end. Really makes it small, eh? It won't let me save it because I've chosen 4. Okay, I'm gonna actually go back. I don't want to choose new from here. I'm gonna go back to this. Yeah, there we go. And then I'm gonna say I only want 3 over here. Was it 3? Yeah. No, I actually just chose 2. Okay. 2, and I put your event info. Clicked on go, and I just put ID, and I said event name. Event name, go to varchar. That was it. Varchar 100. I want this one to auto increment, so that sets it to primary. And go ahead and save. Okay, and then the final one was client details. So just going to my client details. Yeah. Go back to this. Had 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 columns, and this one is called client details. Okay, click on go. This one naturally becomes ID, auto increment. Okay, now I can go back to my 100%. Okay, the next one I had was full name. Varchar 100. Then I had email. Varchar 100. Then I had a contact. Varchar 10. Then I had bookings, and that was varchar 50. then I had number of people. Number of people, and just set that off to 10. Clicked on save. Okay, so there we go. I have 3 data tables and 1 login table, just so I have a valid user to log into my application. Alright, so this John user would be the one that I would use to log into my application. So now that I've got all of that, I'm going to minimize that. The next thing that I had to do was I had to install some SQL connectors. They're obviously already installed on this machine, but I'm just going to show you the commands so that this video is complete and easy to follow. So as you know from previous discussions, I've moved my Python installation to a custom folder. I put it on the C drive and I put it under Python 39. Okay, and so the commands in order to install the MySQL client is Python -m pip install and MySQL client. Okay. That won't work on my machine because I've got the internet disconnected, but basically what it'll do is it'll try and fetch the installation package from the internet, and then it will install it locally on your machine. So that'll be the first command. The second command I'm going to run in another window because that one is looks like it's going to stick there for a while before it gives me any error. Okay, going back to my Python folder, and what I do is I'm going to run the next command, which is Python -m pip install MySQL connector Python. Okay, I run those 2 commands. It goes ahead, installs what it needs to, and then I can go and open up my Qt designer because I haven't shown you how to design my form yet, so I need to open up my Qt designer. Okay, so I've opened my Qt designer. As you know, before we've been using dialog without buttons. This project required us to have a menu, file menu, so we have to use the main window application. So we go ahead and we say create, and then we've got our menu bar over here and our status bar over here, and then obviously our widgets and all of that's on the right hand side here. So first of all, what we did was I created the menu items, and if we go back to our document, he said yeah, the main menu must have the following options: file, data maintenance, report, and about. So let's add those options. Okay, so we go over here and we say file. Alright, then it was database maintenance. And this one was reporting or report, and then this one was about. Okay, so now the problem is that these are all nice menus at the top, but they aren't going to do anything when the user clicks on it. So if I click on File, it's not going to do anything. When I click on Database Maintenance, it's not going to do anything. When I click on Reports, it's going to do nothing, and About is going to do nothing. So you have to type here and go ahead and replicate it again. Say About. Alright, so it adds us an action button over here. There you can see there's an action button, and then the same for Report. You can type here and go Report, okay, and then the same with this one, Database Maintenance, and that's all that I added that I can recall, okay. As I've mentioned before, you can click on this main menu over here. If you go up here, and then you can give your application a name. So I'm just going to go and look for the text there instead of main window. I'm going to go ahead and call it tourism database application. There we go. Alright, so now the other thing that we needed to add on our form was we wanted to add the MDI area. Okay, so we added this, we just dragged it across from there. Yes, please come on my form. We went and dragged it, made it a bit bigger. Okay, so that was the form. Then what we had to do was we had to create an about us form, a report, and a database maintenance. Okay, so I added the three forms by just right clicking and saying add sub window. Okay, then I minimized that, added another sub window, minimized that, and added another sub window. Okay, and so there I got my three sub windows, and so my title for my one sub window was about us. Where's the text for the sub window now? Sub window. Okay, I don't see the text appearing here, but I know I adjusted it. But okay, so that was the about us. All I did was on the about us was I added a text. Was it a text edit or was it just a label? I think I just added a label. Yeah, went to a label and I just said LBL about us, and then I looked for where it had the text, and I just said this is my INF2611 assignment 4. Okay, and then I just went and don't want to drag it off, I just want this thing to grow larger. There, like that. Go there, and when you can go and adjust the font here. So I went and I clicked on this, said I wanted about 16, I wanted bold, and I think I chose an Arial. Yeah, an Arial, and then you can just adjust it. So that was my about window. Okay, and then yes, what I noticed is I also actually added a sub window here, and I called this the login window. So this one actually was the login. So let me create the login. I used the labels, okay, and I said my username, my password, then I had my line edits. There's my first line edit for username, and my line edit for my password, and then I created a button that said login. Where's my push button? There's my push button. So I said login, or I had another one that said create account. So I'm just going to go here and leave this as push button, call it login, okay, and then change the text, login, and here I created a push button, said register or create new account. Okay, and push button, create new account. Alright, so in my line edits, I call this line edit username, and line edit password. Okay, and then obviously here I also call this label username. Okay, and I made sure that I copied this part out to here, username, and made sure that it stretches out, and then the same here, label password. Make sure I copy this out, and I want to go and put it on the text, password. Okay, so that was my login form. Then what I did was I had the reporting option. One of the forms was my reporting option. So let's go here, and what I did for the reporting option is I added a table. It's a table widget. So I actually went to table widget, dragged it down here, I put it across like that, okay, and then what I did was I had two labels, and I put them up here, and this label I called database, okay, like that, and I copied it so that I can name my label database, and then what I did was I put a line edit and put it over here, and I also call this line edit. My machine seems to be freezing every so often. Line edit underscore database, okay, and then this one was the table, so table, and I went down to here, set to table, okay, and then I put another line edit on here. And then what I did was I had two push buttons. One push button here and one push button here. Oh wait, this wasn't a label, sorry. This was a combo box. This was where I used the combo box. The combo box, yes. Because this actually adds all the fields to it, so yeah, I just left it combo box as table like that, and then this push button was called connect, okay, connect, and this would actually be the database connection one, okay. And then this one I call load data, data. And over here. Load data like that. And then what I did was I also added another label over here. Was it a label? Yes, it was. It was a label, and I just called that label result. Okay, and on this thing I just said waiting for connection. So that this can change the text depending on what the user's selected. Okay, so that was my sub window, and then what I did was for my main data, I believe I just used you could use the client info or the manager info. So I'm just going to use the manager info. So what I did was I grabbed the group box over here, like this, and tapped it, moved it down, moved it across, made it nice and big. On my group box, I just I changed the title to Event Manager, like that. I also just made sure my group box was called Event Manager, and then I put in the different fields. So I'm gonna take a snapshot of what we've done. I hope that I'm correct. Obviously created an ID column, so this one was called Manager ID. Okay, and so I'm going to copy that to the actual property there, like that. Manager ID. Okay, maximize that, and then I had a line edit, and on my line edit I made sure the enabled was deselected. Okay, because I don't want anyone to be able to make any change on that. And then I did a first name, but I think for this database I created the full name. So let me just go and double check. I believe I did. One of them was a full name. Okay, when I have a look, I've got ID, first name, last name, contact, and email. So I can go and add that. So I got my first name, last name, contact, and email. Okay, and so this I just changed to label first name. And I copied that out. Okay, and then we got our first name, and this was our last name or surname. Just going to leave it as surname. Contact. Why is the text showing left align and everything? I'm not interested in the text left align. Contact. And this one was email. Yep, email. Okay, so those were all the fields, and then I just added my line edits. So I had that line edit over there, another line edit over here, another line edit over here, and then the line edit over here. Okay, and because this is a maintenance one, I believe I had to add all the push buttons. Just going back, yep, I've got all the push buttons. So my push buttons, first one I added was new, second one was save, third one was delete, fourth one was find. Okay, so I just changed all of those to their respective names. New, okay, and we just copy this out. New, made it a bit smaller since I didn't want to have it taking over the whole place. This one was save. Okay, and that also, make it a bit smaller. So this one I left as disabled. So I took the tick off and then it was like that. And this one was delete. Push button delete. And then this last one was find. And put it here. Push button find. And there we go. Made it all so that it looks about right. Just want to see, and just move it a little bit to the middle like that. Yeah, so that was that. And then I save this file, save as. I just saved it as assignment 4. Got it to that, clicked on save, and that's my assignment 4 UR saved. So I should have a login window. I've got a database maintenance window. I've got a reporting window, and I've got my about us window. Okay, so yeah, I'm happy with that. Then obviously what I did was I went to our favorite command line and then ran the convert command. as you know, I always place my files under the UNISA and INF2611 folder. If I do a directory search here, you'll see there I've got my assignment 4. So I'm going to use the PYURC5 and I haven't even run this for a while now, but I believe I should use assignment 4 and then -O and then UI assignment 4.py. Let me see if that works. Can't remember if the -O must be before this or whether it's happy where it is. Looks like it's happy. So yeah, so now I can go ahead and open my assignment 4 UR file, and then I've got to create a new calling file for that. Okay, in order to get these settings like this, I've gone and clicked on options and I configured my idle and I saved my settings to be a bit bigger. So I changed the font to Arial. I said the size must be 14 and the spacing must be 5, and I clicked on apply, clicked on OK, and then that's what's coming up. So now the fonts at least should appear clearer on your side. They won't be as small as they usually are. Here's my UR code. Okay, so that just helps me to identify all my components that I've used, what line edits I've got. See, I didn't rename some of my line edits. I'm quite a bad person, but anyway, I will survive. Yeah, so now I basically click on File, New File, and I start creating my commands. So I'm going to just go Save As, and I'm going to call assignment 4. Okay, I'm going to go save there, and then I'm going to try and copy some of my code from my assignments, so just bear with me. Okay, so the first thing that we need is to import our sys, which is our normal command. Okay, import sys, and we're saying from pyqt5.qt_widgets import, and we're saying q application q. I don't think I need q dialog. I left it in, but it's not needed. Q main window, q table widget item, and the new one that we're adding is q message box, because I'm going to show errors using the q message box. The next one is from pyqt5 import qt core, qt GUI, qt widgets, and our final one is qt SQL, which is also new. Okay, mustn't put it all in caps, it's just that qt SQL. Here I'm putting in import MySQL connector. Okay, so we're saying import MySQL.connector as MC, and then we make reference to our UR file, and as you saw, I renamed mine to UR assignment 4, and we're saying we want to import everything. And the new thing that I also want to do is import a string. Okay, and then now we start declaring our class. So I've just left mine as class myForm throughout all of my things, and I've just said Q main window. Okay, and then we need to declare our definition, our initial definition. So we do that by saying def int, and we got to use double underscores in the beginning, and we say self and parent equals none. Alright, because there are no parents. And then we say super, and we want to initialize that in it. Okay, and then we're going to start making reference to our UR file. Self UR equals UR underscore main window, and as you know, we're getting that from where? From the top over here. UR main window. It's the same over here. UR main window. Okay. We have our open and close brackets, and we say self UR setup UR, and we say self. Okay. And if I don't need anything else, I would just leave it as that. Okay. And just to declare my template, I just want a template here, and then I'm going to say if underscore name underscore equals, and we say underscore main. Okay. Yeah, this is actually where I declared my SQL connection and all of that. So let's just test it. First we say app. Oops, I think my code is busy changing here. By app equals Q application, and we're using the sysargv command. Okay, and I said here create a MySQL connection, and what I've used is db equals mc connect, and now I start declaring my connection string. So I say host equals localhost because it's on my local machine, and it allows me to have my use localhost. Then also my user, so my user equals, and then my actual database user. So I created that account, INF2611. Okay, then we wanted the password, and so the password is that funny one that I created in the beginning, this one over here. Why did I go and do INF2603? It's INF2611. Sorry guys, might have to go back and just recreate it. This thing, go back here. Okay, so I've clicked on back to my server. I've gone to user accounts. I'm going to go here to edit privileges. I'm going to see if I can update the username. See, I even created the INF2603 database, which wasn't my intention. Okay, so I see it doesn't want to really give me an option of editing the username. Let me see if I can change it here by clicking on username. No. Okay, so I'm just going to create a new one. Just say add user account. and it's INF2611. I'll just create it with the same password. Happy with that password. Control V, Control V, and then I just make sure I have access to all the databases. Click on Go. Done. So now I'll just go back to user accounts, and I'll choose this one, and I'll say delete. Can I delete it? I want to delete it. Remove selected user account. Go. Do you really want to revoke? Yes. Okay, that one is done. I don't think I'm going to be able to change the database name. If I'm mistaken, it's a complicated process. So I might actually just export the database and regenerate it. Yeah, I'll do that quickly. I won't show you what I'm doing. It's going to be quick. Okay, the import was successful. All the records are created. I've now got it under INF2611 DB. Okay, so that should correct now. I've got 2611. So we got this password, and then after we've got the password, we're going to have to enter our database. And yeah, so we've got password and we've got database, and our database is now called INF2611 DB. So if I go back here, I want to go to databases. I can just copy this. Why is it not copying? Okay, I'm not going to waste my time then. I'm just going to say INF2611 DB. Okay, and I go to the next line and I just put the close commas there, and then we open up a cursor object. We say DB cursor. Okay, and then I just need to see the next thing is we create W equals my form. Alright, because we're calling my form, which we created over here, and we're saying W dot show, and then we use sys dot exit, and we say app exec underscore and that, and so that's our final command just to run our template. So let's click run module, can save it, and let's see, unexpected indent. Okay, so I must have put a space in there, and so Python is very specific to the indentation, so you can't just copy code and hope that it works. It's easier if you just have the Python code in its original form. Okay, so it's busy restarting. So I have a funny feeling that on this machine MySQL connector is not actually imported, otherwise it would have gone through successfully, because all of this information is correct here, and yeah, so I'm assuming that's what it is. So let me sort that out quickly. Yep, as you can see, one of the commands that I gave you earlier about MySQL connector Python, and I I hadn't run it correctly on my machine, and so it wasn't installed, and so that's why, because even the error message is showing, it's stating here that it cannot import. There's no module found, no module named MySQL found, and so here it is. As you can see, also the pip needs upgrading, and a lot of people keep on asking, what must I do, what must I do? So all you do is you type out the command that's written in yellow here, Python -m pip install -- upgrade, and you say upgrade pip, and you run that command, and you'll see that it just fetches you the latest pip installation, and then it upgrades your pip, and you won't get that error message that says that you were working on version 21.1 and they're on 21.2.4, and that's all that's required to upgrade the pip. So while that's busy running, I'm going to see if my code can now work, because it's managed to finally install the missing module. So let's see if I'm still getting errors or not. And this is why it's always good to do templates, just so that you don't waste your time trying to create lots of code, then filter through what code works and what doesn't. Just having a small template like this, you can either see does it run or doesn't it run, and yeah, that's the reason why I use this always as I call it a template. I don't like it when it says it restarts, because then it feels like it's already crashed. So let's see if the error still persists. Nope. As you can see, it's running. So there's nothing here. There's no sub window, no nothing. It just gives you the basic form. You can see you've got your database reports. So if I went to about, it won't show me anything. If I went to reports, it won't do anything. Database, nothing. Okay, it won't show you anything. But this is just a perfect example of seeing, does my form load without adding any code in it. So the next part now will be to add all the code, and so that's what we will work through. As you can see, the pip is finished installing, so it's now upgraded, and so I can close this window down like that. Okay, and as I say, I'm going to start working on my getting my code into the program, since we've got everything working over here. So my main thing first of all is to just get to the top here, and it would be to create the login window. So how I did it was, I only added the login sub window, and only if the person was successful would it allow them to proceed to the next to the other sub windows. So what I did was I added a self.ui over here, self.ui MDI area, because we're calling an MDI area, and I said add sub window, and we got to call it by its name, self.ui.sub window. And what I had done in my examples was I had named that sub window to a specific name. Because I haven't named any sub windows here, I'm going to just have a look and see which one did I actually use. as the login window, because I think it should have been the last sub window. I believe it should be sub window, was it 4? Yes, sub window 4. Okay, so that's what we'll do. Just add here sub window 4. Alright. Okay, I've already set the title of the application, but if what I did was I renamed it just so that they don't know they're in the actual program. So I've got it as self.ur.subwindow 4, and I said set window title, and I said tourism login screen. Okay, like that. And also, as I mentioned to you, I've used the show maximized window so that it also opens up in full screen. So let's go show maximized. Alright, and I also mentioned to you that we're going to use the echo mode, and the reason I wanted the echo mode, I won't set it now in this example, but after I've run it I'll show you what happens. So let's go and run our module. You can save it. Okay. There we go, we've got our screen. So remember, I created that username and that password in the database under this login here. So this is where the user would actually put in whatever details are in this login table. Okay, and now you'll have a look and see what's happened is if I go here and I type in John, and you know the password was password, you can see how it's showing you the password. Now when somebody's looking over your shoulder or they're checking the screen out or something, you shouldn't be displaying this password to everyone, otherwise they've got access to it. So the way that you hide that password is you use something called echo mode, and so this is the command to hide the password. So I'm going to add it here, command to hide password, and that's called self.ui, and then we've got to find the line edit that we've used. So this is why I normally have this open. So I go to this line edit, and you can see it's line edit password, which is great. I'm glad I named this one at least. Yeah, line edit. So I'll just copy it in here, line edit password, and we say set echo mode, and this is using the Qt widgets class. Alright, for Q line edit, and we're telling it to use it as a password field. Alright, so now if we run that program, you'll see that when I type in the password, it comes up with all the characters hidden. Okay, so you can see the login screen now. So I type in John, and I type in password over here, and as you can see, it's hidden the password. So I can click on login or create new. I can try and click on any of these things, it won't do anything. And the reason that is because I haven't connected any signals or slots to any of the buttons. And so I added all the commands to the login button. So if it was successful, then it would it would allow, or it would add all the other windows. So what I've done is I've gone and added a special comment, and I said here signals and slots. Okay, and what I've done is I've added all the signals and slots here because you don't need them. They're non-existent until you activate the windows. But obviously the first one that we want to create is called self.ui push button, and I believe it was login. So I just want to go double check this one. Yeah, there we go. We got it, push button login, which is perfect. Push button login, and what we're doing is we're using the clicked event and we are connecting it to our own slot, which is called self.login. Okay, and as I said, I've created a whole lot of other signals and slots for all the other things that are there, but I'm just going to, for now, I'm just going to set it so that we can log in. All right. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to put the code on my computer here, and then I'm just going to copy and paste it because it'll save me a lot of time if I can just copy and paste code out. So just bear with me. Okay, I'll just keep the code, keep showing you how I'm typing the code. So sorry that this video is going to be extremely long, but yeah, it was quite a long process to create most of these codes. So def login, this is the user defined method. Okay, and so what I did was I created a variable called username. Okay, and I said it must then read the input from the line edit of the username and the password. Okay, so if I go back here, I've got this here, this line edit. So I'm just going to copy this line edit out here, and I'm going to paste it in my code. I'm actually going to close this screen down so I don't see that's there, and I just want the calling one. Yeah, so now we got this line edit username, and as I mentioned, in order to read text from a line edit, you use the text command. And if you wanted to set text, then you would put set text here to add text to a line edit. So the second variable that I called was password. Okay, and as you would know, it's going to then read from the line edit password. So I'm going here, and even though the echo mode is set to password, the actual code here can read what the correct password is. Okay, and then as I've mentioned before, I use the try and accept option to connect to the database. So I start with try, and in this example I called it SQL select because I'm using a select statement, and yeah, so I'm saying select. And what's nice is you could actually copy this code directly from the from MySQL. If you go here and you've got your login here, you can click on SQL over here, and you can say once it loads up, you can say select star. You can say select star from, and there it's already building the command for you. And you can say where username and password And so this is how you can build up your own commands directly, so that you don't have to manually type it out. But unfortunately, in the exam, you would need to know it. But this is quite a nice tool just to keep practicing. Yeah, to keep practicing on. So what we did was, select star from login where username and password. Okay, and so what we did is I copied this, and I could go in here and just say select, and then you could leave it as it is, but I'm gonna just type it out, star, and I said from login, okay, where username equals, and in Qt it's the only one that allows you to use this %s to pass variables, so that's why I put %s over here, and password equals %s, okay. And then what I did was I created another variable, and I said data equals, and we're using the cursor dot execute, okay, and we put in SQL select, which is taken from here, okay. So we're passing the select statement, and then what we're doing is we're saying to it must use the variable username over here, okay, and the password. So it's actually reading this information from here, and it's putting it in here into the connection string. So this is saying that where the username is equal to this username over here, and the password is equal to this password, which is taken from here, okay. Yeah, so that's how I created the command. And then obviously, because there's an open brackets here, you have to close the brackets fully, and then it'll take you successfully to the next line, okay. And what I did was I used an if length of the cursor fetch all is, and I'm saying that it's greater than 0, then it should show a message box to the user to say that they have successfully logged in. So I said Q message box, and I've defined the Q message box as an about box, okay, and then we use the self, and we're saying successful login, okay, and that's just giving the title of it, and then this is the actual wording in the thing. We're saying success login successful. Only if the username and the password are correct, then it will show this. So yeah, then the next thing that we would do is we would call our own unique defined function, okay, and so I called that successful login, okay, successful login, okay. So if the person was successful with the username and the correct username and password, then the fetch all will have more than null rows, okay, and so that's why you'll get this message, okay. Else we're gonna tell them that they were unsuccessful with their login, and they must please try the username or the password again. So here we've got our Q message box, and instead of successful, we're going to say failed, okay, and we're going to tell them that their username or password is incorrect. Username or password is incorrect. Okay, and then yeah, just let them know, please enter the correct details. Okay, so that's just my polite way of dealing with users. Okay, yeah, so now after the try statement, we want to have an accept error in case our connection string or something else was wrong. That didn't one of these commands, maybe it just was missing a letter or whatever. We just want to be able to show an error message to the user if there isn't any errors in our program. And so you do that using an accept statement, and we're also going to use a queue message box and an about, and I'm just going to copy up till here. Okay, queue message box there, about, and I'm just going to say database error. Database error, unable to connect to the database. Okay, and that's the error message they'll get. So now the next thing that I have to do is I have to declare my successful login, because I've got it declared here. I have to declare it, otherwise it'll give me an error message. And I just put self, and it doesn't matter what I put here, so I'm just going to activate one of the MDI windows. So UI MDI area dot add sub window, and I'll say self dot UI, and the sub window we're going to activate is the about window. So if I let go of this and I go here, I believe it should be number 3. Yes, sub window 3. So I'm just going to activate that. So if they there, okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that that must be the active window. So self.ui.subwindow3 show maximized. Okay, so let's go and test that out. Yep, happy for you to save it. Okay, so the screen came up. I'm going to try and see if I can log in now. Unable to connect to the database. I wonder why it doesn't want to let us in. Definitely doesn't want to let us in. Okay, I eventually figured out what the problem was. I had a cursor close and a DB close over here, and I think it was closing down, and that was the main reason. So I've removed that 2 snippets of code, and now tested it, and you'll see that it runs. There we go, login successful. Okay, and then it takes me to the screen. Yeah, I know I said I was going to make this the full video. I think this is where I'm going to stop for now. I will continue tomorrow and make it as a second part. Alright, thank you for watching. I hope that it's been informative and that it's helped you. Thank you, goodbye.